there is plenty of quarterback conversations to be had, and we're going to dive into two big ones. The first one comes from over the weekend. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler has said that he's spoken with a number of NFL teams, another number of NFL executives, coordinators, so on and so forth, talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback competition and what is going on. And, well, the NFL has some pretty wild expectations for what the Steelers are going to do with their two quarterbacks, and more specifically, Justin Fields, Quote, Russell Wilson's undisputably the quarterback number one. He's not splitting reps. However, I've talked to multiple teams who expect the Steelers to utilize Justin Fields as a runner and passer in the goal line. Think 8 yards and in. Arthur Smith, the new offensive coordinator, used Derrick Henry as a quarterback/passer when he was in Tennessee calling plays. So why couldn't you use a guy like Fields with his big-time ability? Everybody and Russ talked about it last week. Everybody is talking about these crazy packages when it comes to Justin Fields and Russell Wilson and what it can mean and how they could utilize it. Let's ask this. Let's start with this. Would it work? You're 8 yards in from the goal line. You make a quarterback change. You send Justin Fields out there, who's potentially like the second most athletic quarterback in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson. Is that something that if you're an offensive coordinator, you're thinking, we got a pretty good shot to get in there from, let's say, 8 yards in?
Yeah, I think it absolutely could. It would challenge Justin's accuracy when he was throwing the ball.
Yes.
I think that's a big question about him. And you back a defense up into the goal line situation, that makes it a lot harder on you as a passer. But I think the possibilities you have to run running plays from, 8 yards, 5 yards in or whatever are pretty insane when you think about Justin Fields and both of Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris in the backfield. There are just so many combinations and so many options that you could play off of with three talented and powerful runners too. That's the thing. Like, Justin Fields has some speed to him, but also he's got a big lower half that he can use to push the pile forward. So I think that could work as well. I think, you add just one more threat down inside the goal line like that makes everything, that opens up some stuff for you. It's as simple as that, really. I think this could work. It could be something that the Steelers look into just because Justin is so versatile. He is so athletic. He'll have a couple nice red zone threats around him that I think could support him and help him make some plays there. It's an interesting idea. I don't know if he's exactly Derrick Henry, but I think that Justin could be pretty valuable down there, just because he has such a versatile skill set and he has so many guys who could help him out and make life easier for him down there. That, like, just I don't know what you do if you're a defense and you see, like, imagine just a 2-back set with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, and the ball's going to Justin Fields first. Like, you just run, 3 different fakes or whatever, and then you give it to whoever's the better path, I guess. But putting that many rushing threats in the backfield at one time is going to stress any defense, no matter who they are.
Yeah, I agree. Could you imagine like a triple option, Najee, Jaylen, Justin Fields out there, and then you have like George Pickens lined up wide, obviously a threat for a jump ball, and then you put like Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington out there. Boom, there's your set. I mean, you got options. You have Pat coming around the back. Darnell just literally turns around, just, hey, you want to throw it to me? I'll probably catch it. Sounds good. I'm taller than everybody here. And then George in the corner of the end zone. I feel like it could work. I feel like it could work really well, actually. And to be honest with you, I think it could work with Russell Wilson too. Like, I think that's the thing is all this does is open up the possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers to start playing mind games. And that works. Like, there's a lot of people that look at this and say, you're going to get fancy and it's not going to work and blah, blah, blah. No, like, look at the Kansas City Chiefs offense. And I know that is such an extreme example, but it's the best example because it works more than any other offense. A lot of times they do almost nothing crazy, and then they come out with crazy stuff, and it plays mind games. Like, you're as a defense, you're going, what's going to happen? We have no idea what to expect. That's how you beat a defense. That's how you win the mental side of football. I think having two quarterbacks is almost never a good thing. I think if you could utilize them in very rare packages like this, it works very well. And then it opens up the door of like, oh, okay, well, Russ is out here now, so like what's going to happen? Because we know if Justin's out here, we know what's coming. If Russ is out here, we don't know what's coming. It keeps people on their toes. Whereas you watch the Steelers for the last 3 years, and you get within 8 yards and you're like, okay, I don't think this is going to get into the end zone. I hope it does. Their options are very limited. So I think it creates distractions and confusions for defense, which when you're that close to the goal line, that does crazy amount of work in helping you actually score touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one more thing for defenses to think about. And, you see this all the time, whether it's like, making a certain lineman eligible or not, whether it's, putting guys in motion. Like, this is all the same stuff. It's putting in a guy like Darnell Washington to give you a jump ball threat somewhere. I mean, football is all about making your opponent look one way when you really want to go to another place. And I think that's all that this is. And we're in May, or we're in June right now. But June. You can afford to experiment with these kind of things. Yes. I think this is stuff that we can think about at this point. When you have so much time leading up to the start of the season, you have a lot of time to play around with stuff, to see what you've got, to explore all your options as an offense. And I think it's perfectly fine for the Steelers to be looking into this stuff, especially because I think it has some legs, and I think it could work.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you this question. Do we think it'll happen? Do we think that come the season, you get in there, they get to the 8-yard line against, chances are you're not breaking that out week 1 unless you have to, but you get into a tight matchup with Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Kansas City, whoever. You think at some point during the season, we're sitting up in the press box and Justin Fields walks onto the field on the 7-yard line. And we're going, oh, okay, what's going on right now? And then he's obviously comes off afterwards.
Yeah, I do think we'll see it at least once. I'll say that, but I don't think it's going to be a regular part of the offense. I mean, you're just not going to spend most of your weeks taking carries away from, Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren on the goal line. You're not going to put the less accurate passer in regularly for plays in places where, tight, accurate passes are going to need to be made.
Yep.
But I do think you see it at some point. I think, it's feels rudimentary, but Justin Fields is just way too talented to spend an entire season on the bench. He's going to be involved in some way, somehow. And I think this is not the lowest stakes, but this is probably the easiest place to use him. In a third and short situation, or a goal line situation where he can use his abilities as a runner. You could put an extra blocker into the run game. That stuff is incredibly valuable. And I think Justin can really make somewhat of an impact doing that. So I think you see it a little bit. I don't know if it'll be regular, like you said, because this can all happen with Russ too. Like he's I said this last week, but I think he's a much better athlete than people are giving him credit for. I think he can still run decently well. So I don't expect Justin Fields to be a regular part of the goal line offense, but I think it would be smart of the Steelers to at least try it out, because there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that you look at this and there's no way that you could keep Justin Fields sidelined all season. I think there's a difference. You talk about talented quarterbacks and having two quarterbacks, so you don't have one quarterback, and I think all that makes a lot of sense. I think it changes when you have such a phenomenal athlete as that backup quarterback who has the potential to be a quarterback. If it was Justin Fields could run, he couldn't pass, it's over. There's no point in putting Justin Fields out there. And if this was Justin's going to play 50% of the snaps, you don't put Justin out there. But if you're going to put Justin Fields on the field, I don't know, once every other week, once every third week, that's not bad. Like you could make that happen. Even if you do it, 3 times in 1 week, and then you take 2 weeks off, and then you just never know if it's there. I just think that opens the door for potential without causing issues. And that's the line that you want to walk. It's a fine line. It's certainly a fine line. But if you could utilize it and step on the right side of it, it just creates so many more possibilities. And just like you said, Justin Fields is not, I think you look at this and people say like, oh, well, Lamar Jackson, his rookie year, he wasn't ready to be on the field. They tossed him on the field and it kind of created some late in the season. People will compare to, I don't know. I don't know another quality backup quarterback that you'd probably put in there to split reps or whatever. But Justin Fields is not one of those guys. Justin Fields is a starter in the NFL. He's a guy that you're looking at long-term, but already has the franchise quarterback kind of mentality, has already filled that role, even if it didn't work out. So you're looking at a guy that he needs development. He doesn't need to sit on the bench and just like somewhat waste away. You want to see what you have in this guy. You want to utilize him. It's the same thing as if you brought in a Cordero Patterson. It's a guy that, he's not starting on your offense. You have no plans to start him on the offense, but from time to time, you're going to utilize him because he's a good talent to have, and he's a veteran, and he's an added bonus to your offense. And I think that's where we are with Justin Fields. Again, it's a fine line to walk. If you could walk it correctly, I think it does nothing but good things for the Steelers offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Justin was a luxury when they traded for him.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
he wasn't something that the Steelers absolutely needed after they got Russ, but you have this luxury here. Don't waste him. You know, like there's no guarantee you're going to get him back for another year. So you might as well just use him however you can right now. And I think this is one of the easiest ways for the Steelers to possibly get him involved in the offense and make something out of this year with Justin Fields.
Agreed.